So how can I call you? Alex?
Alessio.
Alessio. So you're Italian, right?
I was born in Italy. Yeah.
Where in Italy?
I was born in Bari, in Puglia, in south, in the heel of the boot.
Oh, I see. Your parents, are they a musician too?
No, actually. My mother was an English teacher at the Culinary School Institute.
Oh.
So that started also my passion for food and cooking from very young.
And your father?
Yeah, my father worked in the administration in the town hall. So
Yeah.
just regular jobs, but they did love music. And my brother and I have started music when we were about 7 years old.
Oh, I see.
He did the conservatory in violin, but he was always interested in computers, and eventually he got a job in a different field. So he played.
So he was a pianist also.
He started very briefly on piano with me, and then switched to violin when it was time to enter the conservatory. So it was a violinist.
Oh, so it was the same teacher?
Yes, at the beginning, but I had many teachers a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
And then finally, more serious teachers when I was 9 years old. I entered the conservatory, which I finished in 5 years instead of 10.
Yeah.
I skipped many years, and
wow,
I was
5 years, yeah.
youngest graduate in Italy in the history, and then moved on to the States. And
yeah, because you studied with Joaquin Achúcarro, right?
Yes,
because I knew his wife long time ago. So I forgot her name.
Emma.
Yeah, because I met her when I was a child with Alicia De Rocha. We had lunch, and she introduced me, Maria Curcio, the very famous Italian teacher who used to live in London. So I must say I'm very thankful to her, and of course I respect Joaquin very much. And you studied for how many years?
Oh my gosh, I met him in Siena when I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
So, and then I studied every summer with him until I moved to America to study with him full time when I was 16. So it's like a father to me.
Oh,
really. And over the years, he's 91 and is still playing and performing full concerts and practicing 8 hours a day. It's really the biggest inspiration. And he kept, as he got older, he kept growing as a pianist and musician and finding new things. And he is such an amazing person that it was the biggest inspiration for all the students. He was the first one in the morning to be there practicing in school and the last one to leave.
So that's where was that school where you studied?
It happened to be in Dallas in America. Yeah. So that's why I was 16 years old and I moved to Dallas to study with him.
Because I didn't know he lived in Dallas. Where does he live now?
Well, he's in Spain now, in Bilbao.
Yes, because he was here like 3 years ago in Japan. Of course, I must say he's a very, very, very musical musician, very artist. And the last time he played a concert here, recital, his program was so interesting, not really mixture of Spanish music, but like playing Debussy, with the Spanish musical rhythm, and the way he constructed the program for the recital was very, very interesting,
I just learned so much, and now I'm teaching myself. I'm teaching a New England Conservatory in Boston, and now I'm thinking so much about those lessons, even more than when I was a student. And he really knows the piano as an instrument, how it works, how to make a beautiful. Of course, he has a natural musicality, but he knows exactly how to do it, and that's what made him a great teacher, because he can tell you how to use a wonderful sound and how to change, and very conscious about it.
Yeah, I can notice, because your sound is tonality is very, very beautiful. That your talent is musical is very natural, but also like so beautiful tonality. That's what I really respect a lot about it. And did you also learn with a lot of Spanish music with him?
Quite a bit, not as much as I wanted to, because also at that time, especially at the beginning, I was preparing for competitions, but I did Nados, Albeniz, Falla, Nights in the Garden in Spain, for example.
Yeah.
But also, he had many Spanish students, and so I grew up listening to Spanish music. It really feels. I feel a very strong connection with the idiom. It's music that does not live in the score. even all the Spanish rhythms, the flavors, the ideas, they're not things that a composer can write down. You just have to.
Yeah, like a smell and like things. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Full sensory.
Yeah.
And
Because
so I was very happy to have grown up around that environment because of it.
And of course, I saw the YouTube of your festival in Italy.
Oh, yes.
And I loved how you introduced this musical festival with delicious cheese and, like a lot of food. And I can feel all the sense of, like smell, the touch, and the sound is very equal. That's the art, right?
Thank you. I'm so glad you understand this from watching the film. That was the idea.
Yeah.
Because every festival is different. And I always think you can have the same musician, same program in a different festival, and it will sound different because we take from the atmosphere, we take from the land, we take from the sights, we take from the food, time we spend together, and that's my goal. That's why I'm doing it. It's just I want to bring people together.
Which city was that in Italy? Which city?
Well, it's hard to say because it's in the middle of the countryside in a beautiful estate called La Foce. It's near Montepulciano in Pienza, about an hour away from Siena. But it's really in the countryside, and that's really wonderful. We all live together, as you saw, and eat together, rehearse, and there's just very little sleep.
Well, I could really see that the cheese looks delicious, and the air and the view of the countryside. I really wish I could go there. I was very attracted on how you revised the movie. The YouTube was really wonderful, and there I really could really your sense of your musicality, your sense is there already. You see, even if not playing, I can feel it. And your wife is Chinese. She's Korean.
No, she's her parents are Korean, but she was born in Montreal, in Canada.
Oh, so what do you speak with her? English?
We speak English, but she speaks 7 languages.
Oh, wow! Great.
She lived also in Germany, in Austria, and in Italy, and we have a daughter that's growing up trilingual. And
so how old is your daughter now?
She's 9 years old.
Oh, so at home, which language do you speak the most with your wife?
At home, I will speak English to her, but I will speak Italian to my daughter, and she speaks French to my daughter.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And I love it. Does she play the piano, your daughter?
She plays piano. She plays a little bit of violin in school as well, and then she sings in the Metropolitan Opera Children Chorus.
Oh, wow, it's interesting. And I loved the piazzolla you're playing with that 4 hands.
Yes.
The piazzolla. Who arranged that 4 hands?
Well, that's a very interesting thing because we're actually playing off a very simple score for 2 hands, and we improvise and we embellish the score as we play. So every performance is quite different. Now it's very challenging because it's okay if you can do that by yourself or 2 different instruments. But when you share one keyboard, I never know where my wife's hands are going to be. So a lot of trust involved in this.
Oh, so you sort of improvise at every time at the concert.
I mean, we have a kind of base, but then every concert is different.
Oh, because it's really amazing because I really even thought it's much better than the original piazzolla, with more elegancy. I could see the elegance between you and even when there's not much notes, I can really feel it. Such an elegant with a classic. Like a pride. Very, very nice. Very lovely.
That's really, thank you. It's wonderful music. And it's amazing how many different arrangements you can have and it still works.
And both of you had like a really nice sort of question answer, like very, not noisy, but not disturbing each other, but very, very sexy and very, I really loved it. So I was wondering who was the arranger and the transcript.
It's us. I mean, it's but it does change quite a bit, and the more we play, the more.
I must say, so you two get on very well because this inspiration in between you.
We do. I mean, we love this repertoire for 2 pianos and piano for hands, and wonderful. Many times people ask us, "How can you be 2 pianists, married to each other?" But the truth is that if you get along, 2 pianists don't have to play together. If you're a violinist and a pianist, a violinist needs a pianist, right? What if one wants to play but not the other? For 2 pianos, we don't have to play together, so we only play repertoire that we love, and in places that we like to play. And so it feels a little bit like a wonderful holiday almost.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very lovely.
Nobody's forcing us to do this together. Now, we met in the Hamamatsu competition.
Oh, I see. So she was competing with you?
Yes. Long time ago, 1997.
Oh, I see. And there was a YouTube, you sort of cooking together with your daughter during the Corona session, It was very, very, very nice. I could feel this lovely family, this, I could feel it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the other thing is that your Bach repertoire, the series of Bach, you arrange those, Bach.
Some of them. I mean, they're mostly, there's Busoni, Godowski, Silotti, and
Yeah.
For my first few albums, I always had one transcription, one arrangement made by myself, and it's mostly. I'm not a composer or an arranger at all, but if there was a piece that I really love, and very often transcriptions for piano are very, how can I say? Are expanded, there's much more. And so, for example, there was Adagio from the F concerto, and I wanted to recreate the feeling of original without added things, and so that's when I would transcribe. Or in the Rachmaninoff album, I transcribed that piece because we have a few transcriptions, but they're much bigger than the original, and I wanted the intimacy of the original. So the only transcriptions I did is when the ones that were available are just too complicated or too different.
Yeah, actually, it's not when people say transcript, some people think with so many notes it will sound very bright, but actually listening to you, the simplicity is the elegance, you see, and it's a beautiful. That's what I like the most. Yeah, and I really like all your Bach, and I think when you're playing the Italian suite, tan 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 tan, it was very interesting. When I was hearing you play that Italian suite, I thought I was listening to like orchestra. You playing the piano, but it was the first time I feel this a very, very interesting feeling. Listening to your Bach, I feel like orchestration. So like playing Bach of the Baroque time, I really feel like orchestration Bach of this 21st century. So I wanted to ask you, do you really sort of image yourself the tonality for orchestra during you playing this?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. I love piano, of course. It's a wonderful instrument, many possibilities. But actually, if you think of the sound of piano just by itself, it's really not the nicest instrument at all, because it's a really, as we all say, it's a percussion instrument. You have a hammer. Okay, so if you just think in a pianistic sense, piano is really not a beautiful instrument. But we create music in a very different way than other instruments. There's a lot of imagination that needs to happen, a lot of tricks, a lot of illusions. We cannot play really legato. We have to pretend. We have to create. It's a little bit like in painting. You see a beautiful painting in 3 dimensions, but it's not. So that's how we have to make music. And hopefully the composers give us so many notes that we can use creatively, but it's a whole different process. And what fascinates me is actually, of course, it starts in your ear, your imagination, but how to physically do these things, how to change color, how to make different sounds, how to prioritize what's important. You take a piece that I love so much, like Rachmaninoff, Third Piano Concerto. There are so many notes, but not everyone is important, Some are just flavor, some are just color.
Yeah.
And so this is a way very much like orchestration,
like when maybe that's why, since you have so many colors, different colors and tonality, that's why I really thought it was an orchestra. You see, it's a really first very interesting feeling I had. It was like listening to a grand piano, but with like orchestra. And the touch also, not, different kind of touch in each phrases, staccato and legato, but very grand sound, So I really was impressed with that Italian suite you're playing. So I listened to a lot of this transcription. So maybe I love to listen to your like a Bach recital, even all Bach, Bach and the transcription of Bach?
Yeah, it would be wonderful.
Or maybe even like a two concerto with your wife. There's like a two piano. Those are some beautiful. And the sonata C minor is like for two pianos, right?
Yes. I was every time I go back, whether I'm playing or teaching Bach, and it's quite extraordinary. I mean, it's and at the end, it's actually pianistically, it's the most difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
You take a fugue, for example, prelude and fugue, and the variety of colors is immense, except just as much as Rachmaninoff, except it's in a very small hand position, in fifth and sixth, so it makes it much more difficult. And you cannot, no matter how great your ear is, you cannot just control that with your ear and your sound. You have to know physically what to do. And it's the greatest school. My love for music started with Bach. I wanted to be an organist first.
Oh, I see. Yes. Which piece inspired you when you listened?
Oh, there's so many. The preludes and fugues. Of course, the famous toccata fugue in D minor.
Yeah.
But there were many things. The Passacaglia. Mostly organ things. And in fact, when I first started being a musician, with my brother, we would take these big fugues and split them. I would play the top parts. He would play the bottom. And then when it was time to enter the conservatory, I was 9 years old. And I wanted still to be an organist, but at that time you had to take 5 years of piano before. And at first I didn't want to. No, I don't want to play piano. And then very quickly I just fell in love with the repertoire, with the music. It's incredible.
So when you listened to this organ, was it in the church or in a concert hall?
In church mostly.
Yeah. Well, And also very interesting, when you said you're playing the fugue with your brother, separating, sometimes I think it's very good to play with somebody to separate the voices. Then you learn the most because you listen to different tonality, right? So absolutely. It's a very good, even I say, I tell my students, play with somebody else in separating the voices. It's good for you, so.
True. It's very good advice.
Yeah. And so in the New England Conservatory, how many students do you have?
Well, because I play concerts almost every week now, so it's hard to find time. So I share most of my students with other faculty. And,
I see.
So now I see 15 students, but they're mostly. I have one student right now that's full-time with me, and I think from next year I will take more full-time. But it's quite interesting. They will have 2-3 hour lessons when I'm there. They have opportunity to work on their own and play for other teachers. We are lucky that the teachers get along very well. We're all very different, so we help one another, and it's
So maybe you sometimes to get away from New York, maybe you feel a bit relaxed, you go to Boston.
Yes. I mean, it's now, whenever I'm not playing concerts, I will try to go once or twice a month for a few days in Boston. And I like the fact that when I'm there, all I have to do is really teach. So I teach all day from morning until dinner time, nonstop. It's very intense, but I love it because I know that's my purpose to go in Boston. If I was teaching in New York, for example, I would think, okay, I have to be with family, I have other occupations. So I like the fact that I go there and for 2-3 days I'm just teaching and sharing and enjoying. Sometimes I go to concerts, and then in the evenings we have wonderful dinners with other faculty and friends.
Nice. So do you have any hobby?
Well, it's meeting with friends and catching up over dinner. I love food, as I said, so I love to cook. And when I'm in New York and there are friends, musicians that come, we always have a big dinner. And that's how so many of my musical friendships are born as well. By common love, of course, for music, but also for food and wine. And just even simple conversation.
So what is what do you like? I'm sure you're a very good chef. What do you like to cook the most? The Korean, Japanese, or Italian?
I like exactly these 3 foods are probably that you mentioned are my favorites. Always Korean, Japanese, and Italian. But I think Italian food is in my blood, and so I think I have a very good sense for how it should taste. I'm lucky in New York, very much like in Tokyo, for example. There you have access to all the best ingredients. But I think my food is inspired by travel, but mostly based around Italian. That's my comfort zone, you know.
Yeah, and I'm sure your wife will cook a very good, delicious Korean food, right?
Yeah, she's very good. She's also very good. But you know, I've done Japanese food as well, and I love to do a nice dashi from scratch and use it in different things. And
dashi, you take it from the fish or the seaweed or whatever.
I appreciate and love so much Japanese food because I think there's so much attention to detail, and it's so much about subtlety. It's not about only strong flavors and you know, a lot of the food in the West, I find this it's always more fat content, more salt. That's easy. But I remember some of the most memorable experiences for food I had was in Japan, where you know, at first you have to look for flavor, and then once you find it, it opens up a whole different world. It's very much like my ideal in music. You know, I think musical ideas have to be discovered. They don't have to be in your face.
So what if you have to choose one, what's your favorite dish for Japanese dish?
Oh, that's so hard. I always have a difficult, and I like different things for different reasons. Of course, I love amazing sushi and sashimi, but I also love a great yakitori, which is something I find that you can only find at that level only in Japan. But you know, when you have an amazing kaiseki meal in local style, I remember it was really kind of life-changing once. It was during Matsutake season in Kyoto, and some of the most subtle, refined flavors that I've ever had. But I have to say, you know, we spent as a holiday on the way to, we were playing concerts in Taiwan last New Year, and we spent Christmas in Tokyo with my daughter.
Oh, two of you?
And my wife also. Stayed 5 days in Tokyo and discovered, because at 9 years old, she's now at the age where she loves everything Japanese, you know, from characters. And she was, you know, she's traveled already to 28 countries. But
lucky. Yeah.
So impressed with the attention to detail and amazing quality of everything in Japan, from only food, not only concert halls, not only shops, but from taxi drivers, from everyone working in the hotel. It's a different level, I think, of living, which I think it's important to understand from that age, you know.
Yeah,
I have a very soft spot for Japan, as you know.
Oh, thank you. And tell me, which piano do you use at home? What make?
We have a Steinway B and a smaller Yamaha as well.
Oh, I see. This is your home? It's a very bright. You have a lot of light.
Yeah, this is we just moved last month to a home closer to our daughter's school, so we can walk. And this is our studio, basically.
Oh, in Manhattan? Do you live in Manhattan?
Manhattan, yeah.
So do you do any sports?
No, really, but I like to walk a lot.
Oh, I see. So do you walk in the Central Park?
Yeah, I mean, anywhere I can walk within, even when I travel, especially when I travel, if I have to go somewhere that's about no more than 1 hour away, I'll try to walk.
That's good for you. Yeah.
I like to look around and explore. I think, you know, working out in the gym makes me very sad. It's not just not, but you know, probably I will have to at some point.
Yes, I understand talking to you, I understand very well. You know, just your music is always fresh, looking for something, and you like to walk around in the sense, in the new taste. You're always discovering something new. That's like your music.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you have to. And, you know, one of my biggest passions in music is, of course, discovering and learning new repertoire like you should be, but also playing music for 30 years now, same pieces, you know, and going back. I mean, I find that so exciting, actually. It's never becomes routine. I mean, there's some pieces I really literally have been playing for 30 years.
Like what? Which piece? Example?
Rachmaninoff Corelli variations.
Yeah.
But every time I reopen the music, it makes you realize how small we are compared to these great minds. And really not about us at all. It's about using your skills, improving your skills to show different sides of music. And it's just, we're so lucky. Day after day, we are in front of, I think, these great pieces. Take a Beethoven sonata, any of them. It's like one of the greatest masterpieces in history. Not just musically. It's like having the Mona Lisa in your room. And every day you look at it, and you have the responsibility to recreate that for an audience every time. And every time you see different things in it, and as you grow, your understanding grows, and that's incredibly exciting, as much or even more than learning new pieces sometimes.
Well, interesting, because I like to hear. I wish I could hear this chorale variation. I couldn't find it with the YouTube, but I'm happy because not many people play that chorale variation. Not that much, but it's so beautiful. Yeah.
But also, it's later Rachmaninoff. It's so beautiful yet so tragic at every turn. Yeah. From the third piano concerto, also. I mean, it's very often we think of it as a showpiece for pianist and virtuosic piece, which it is, but internally it's so tragic, and there's the late Rachmaninoff has that, and it's very, very special once you tap into that. And there are so many layers, just like when you listen to Rachmaninoff's recordings, you can listen to his own recordings of the short pieces 100 times, and each time you will hear something different. Which
I understand. Yeah. So in the end, do you have a message for this young pianist, Japanese pianists who are trying to become pianists? Any advice, messages for this young pianist who wants to become a professional pianist?
Yeah, so they're different. I mean, I see so many young pianists, and there's so many wonderful ones coming from Japan.
Yeah.
And I was, I don't want to name names because there are too many, but I think the new generation has different challenges now than we did. Everyone is looking for quick solutions, quicker fixes. You want to prepare for a competition, to start a career. I see them when they come to lesson to me. You want quick suggestions to improve very quickly, and it takes patience, and I see now that I'm a little bit older, it takes patience, it takes time. You're not there for the short in the short run. You have to, music is your life, so to have a long life you need a lot of patience, and then to really try to get inspiration. Recordings are very important, of course, but try to get inspiration from the score itself. Amount of details the great composers write in the scores, it's incredible. And I think if Beethoven decided to write a sforzando, or to put something, anything a composer decides to write, it's not music or rhythm, it's because they think it's important, and it's not. And it's our job to show that and to justify and say, well, Beethoven used extra ink here to write that. Why and how do we do it? And when you start this, you'll never stop, because there's always more, and change your mind. You'll never get boring, and you'll be constantly inspired. And actually now on YouTube, you can find basically every recording of mine that's in the playlist. So there's one that's coming out now with my wife of French music for pianos.
French music?
Yes, for two and four hands. That's coming out this month. And then in September, I have a new one with a dance theme.
Oh.
And that's there's Bach, Bartok, there's Spanish music as well. There's Ravel, La Valse, and
like dance music, like waltz. Oh, I see. Which Spanish piece example?
Spanish, there are 3 pieces that I put together as a small suite, and that's Falla, the Miller dance from the three-corner hat.
Yeah.
Albeni's tango, transcribed by Godowski, and Fire Dance by Falla.
You put the Godowski tango. Yeah.
Yes.
So thanks so much, and I hope to really listen to you in Japan and talk to you in Japan also again.
I hope so.
Yeah, say hello to your family.
I will. The pleasure. Thank you,
Okay,
Marisa.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.